The missing persons unit at the Blackwood County Sheriff's Department didn't have a corkboard. They had a digital wall of ghosts, 18 faces, stretching back over 20 years, all vanishing from the perimeter of Blackwood Forest. The pattern was maddeningly consistent. No bodies, no ransom notes, no signs of struggle, just a final, terrified cell phone ping at the tree line, followed by absolute silence. Detective Sarah Kincaid stared at the latest file. Maya Lynn, 19, college sophomore. Her car was found abandoned on Route 9, hazard lights blinking, driver's door wide open. Within 50 yards, the trees grew so dense they choked out the sunlight, creating a permanent, bruised twilight known locally as the shudder. Sarah wasn't a believer in local folklore. She didn't believe in the whispers of skinwalkers or the old wives' tales about the woods being hungry. She believed in footprints, tire tracks, and human depravity, which is why she was currently crouched behind a mossy boulder 2 miles deep into the shudder, shivering in the autumn damp, watching a circle of hooded figures. For months, Sarah had tracked a fringe conspiracy group centered around an esoteric internet forum. They called themselves the Sons of the Threshold. While local authorities dismissed them as harmless larpers or gothic edgelords, Sarah's digging revealed a darker thread. People in the county didn't just disappear. They usually had some connection to the fringe occult scene before they went dark. Through her binoculars, Sarah watched the clearing. 7 figures stood in a ring of black candles that somehow refused to gutter in the rising wind. In the center stood a man in a red robe, chanting in a cadence that sounded less like Latin and more like grinding stones. On the dirt before him lay a heavy, iron-bound tome and a wooden crate. Sarah rested her hand on the grip of her Glock. Intervention time, she thought. End of the line. She stepped out from behind the boulder, drawing her weapon. Sheriff's Department. Drop whatever you're... Wait, a voice rasped. It wasn't the leader, but one of the hooded acolytes nearby. The cowl fell back, revealing the hollow slicked face of Thomas Vance, a local philosophy professor reported missing 3 days ago. His eyes were wide, dilated, fixed entirely on Sarah, with a look of pure, agonizing plea. Don't interrupt the binding. Thomas, step away from them. Hands on your head, Sarah commanded, sweeping her flashlight beam across the circle. The chanting leader didn't turn around. Instead, he raised a ceremonial dagger and sliced open the wooden crate at his feet. The stench hit Sarah like a physical blow, a sickening wave of copper, ozone, and rotting mulch. From the shadows beneath the trees, the air didn't just move, it folded. Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The shadows were detaching themselves from the trunks. They pooled in the center of the clearing, coalescing into towering, shifting masses of Vanta-black smoke, limbs made of jagged obsidian, and eyes that burned like dying stars. The forest went dead silent. No crickets, no wind, just the wet, heavy breathing of things that had no lungs. The largest of the entities, a hulking, multi-limbed silhouette, loomed over the leader of the circle. A sound like grinding tectonic plates echoed in Sarah's skull, a voice spoken directly into her cerebral cortex. The compact is rendered, the entity hissed, the sound vibrating Sarah's teeth. We hunger, we require the toll. The robed leader dropped to his knees, pressing his forehead to the dirt. We offer the blood of the innocent, we offer the student. He gestured toward a bound, gagged figure huddled near the edge of the firelight. Maya Lynn, pale and trembling. Sarah gripped her gun tighter, adrenaline surging. She lined up her sights on the leader's spine. The entity slowly turned its eyeless gaze from the robed man. It didn't look at Maya. It didn't look at the other cultists. It turned its massive smoke, veiled head directly towards Sarah. Unacceptable, the entity rasped. The robed leader froze, lifting his head in sheer panic. What? No, she is pure. She is young. The offering is whole. Inadequate, the entity replied, its voice dripping with ancient disdain. The offering lacks the weight of surrender. The soul of the captive is stolen, not given. The bargain is fraudulent. Then take us, cried one of the cultists, stepping forward. Take our lives. Your lives are already promised to the dust. The entity rumbled dismissively. We require a vessel of flesh and will, an offering of equal value, or else the debt reverts. Sarah watched, horrified and bewildered, as the entities shifted violently. The shadows surged forward, not to consume the cultists, but to surround them. Wait, no, Thomas screamed, backing away as a tendril of smoke lashed out. We followed the rites. We read the passages. The passages lie, the entity whispered. The demon consumes what is freely discarded. Oregon, it consumes the house that called it. Before Sarah could fire, before she could run, the darkness expanded like a bursting ink. Sack. It happened in less than a second. A deafening concussive pop of displaced air that knocked Sarah off her feet. A blinding flash of violet light that seared her retinas. And then, nothing. Sarah scrambled backward, kicking dirt, gasping for air as her flashlight beam cut through the clearing once more. The black candles were out, smoking feebly in the dirt. The heavy iron book lay open on the earth. Maya Lin was still there, huddled by the trees, sobbing uncontrollably as her bonds miraculously fell slack. The cultists were gone. Not a single footprint led away from the clearing. No rustling leaves, no distant screams, just an absolute, hollow vacuum where 7 men had stood a moment before. Sarah scrambled to her feet, running over to Maya, throwing her jacket around the shivering girl. Are you okay? Can you walk? Maya couldn't speak. She just nodded frantically, gripping Sarah's tactical vest like a lifeline. As Sarah led the terrified girl out of the shudder, glancing back one last time into the suffocating density of the Blackwood pines, a cold realization settled into her bones. The police files wouldn't change. There would still be no bodies, no clues, no answers. The missing persons list wouldn't shrink. It would only grow, fed not by monsters from the abyss, but by men who invited things into the dark and discovered, too late, that when the demons weren't offered what they wanted, they simply took the ones who called them.